Hello, everyone, and welcome to our March Fosters Forums. We're so excited to have you here with us as we are going to talk a little about art and influence with our amazing guests tonight, Melanie Moore, Taylor Trench, Ahmad Simmons, and myself. Tonight, hello, everybody who is coming in from Facebook Live. Welcome, as well as those who signed up here on webinars, on Zoom webinars. One of the biggest reasons why we love for you to come on to Zoom webinars and register through our website is that you get to interact with us. You get to ask questions. You get to be in conversation with the artists that we have with us. And the best way for those of you who are on with Zoom with us to do is to look right down. I want to bring two things to your attention. The Q&A button is your friend tonight. Anytime that you have a question for any of us all through the night, make sure to put it there. I'll be checking that all night. And then for the last 20 minutes or so, we're going to be taking all of your questions and put you as part of the conversation. The other thing I want to kind of bring your attention to is also that chat button. This is your opportunity to talk with each other. So it'd be great if we go to that chat and make sure that you are clicking the button that says to everybody, panelists and all, and just put where you're dialing in from tonight. We love kind of seeing where everybody is coming from around the world. A lot of times we have a lot of people from different countries, and we welcome everybody. So hello. Again, I'm Jason A. Sparks. I'm the president and executive director of Foster's Theatrical Artist Residency. A little bit about what we do at Foster's. We are here, our goal, our mission is to change how we make theater. We like to do that in two different ways. One is focused around our residencies. And in our residencies, we like to focus on process instead of any product. Coming up in April, we have our spring residency, which we'll be announcing the participants very soon. So make sure to check back and see how you can be involved in the spring residency. And then the rest of the year, we have another Cultivating Curiosity, which we had one in January, which explores how to be creatively curious from home, how to find community from home. We offer this to 10 artists, and we'll be opening applications for that very soon, as well as we'll be having a fall residency, which will support the work of one playwright, as well as a director, and up to 6 actors. So make sure to check our website to see how you can be involved there. We also, Foster's Forums is a huge part of what we like to do. We like to put you in conversation with leaders within our theater community today. So make sure that you check back every month. We have new panelists. You can also go to our website, www.fostersresidency.org, to see all the past Foster's Forums as well. Make sure to we had Rachel Chavkin, Warren Carlisle, Anna DeVere Smith. Go check all of out. There's lots and lots of fun people there. The other thing that we really believe in is that all of our programming is absolutely free to our artists. It comes at no cost to them. We really believe in taking care of the artist as much as we can. So through things like this, we also ask if you've had a good time, please consider making a tax-deductible donation to Foster's. You could be doing this in 2 ways. You can go to our website. Again, that's www.fostersresidency.org, and I'll put this in the chat in just a little bit, and make a tax-deductible donation there. Or we have Venmo. So simple. It's at Foster's Residency. Really easy, just from your phone, takes 2 seconds. $2, $3, $4 goes a long way. Part of our residencies, we included these boxes that we mail to the artists. And some of these items cost only $2 or $3. Really, your dollar goes a long way into supporting the artists of tomorrow and their work. Super important. Again, I just want to remind you, before I get to our amazing guests tonight, use that Q&A. Use that Q&A. Invite them along into everything. We have some amazing people with us today. I'm going to just briefly give a little rundown of their bios. They are much more their bios, but just to kind of give you an idea who we have. So we have the amazing Melanie Moore. She was last seen in Al Blackstone's Freddie Falls in Love at the Joyce Theater, which is no longer true. She can tell you about that later on. Her Broadway credits include Hello, Dolly, Fiddler on the Roof, and Finding Neverland. She was also recently seen in New York City Center encore production of A Chorus Line, where she played Judy Turner. And her television credits include So You Think You Can Dance. She was the season 8 winner and all-star, ABC's Little Mermaid Live, Glee, Dancing with the Stars, Saturday Night Live, and more. We have the amazing Taylor Trensch, who made his professional debut as Mort in the first national tour of Spring Awakening. Since then, he's appeared in 6 Broadway shows and currently holds the record for the most productions at the Shubert Theater. Are you kidding me, Taylor? He made his New York debut as Bach in Wicked before going to originate the role of Michael Wormwood in Matilda. Then he came to share the role of Christopher Boone in the Tony Award with the Tony Award winner Alex Sharp in the original cast of The Curious Incident of the Dog of the Nighttime. Most recently, he's been seen as Barnaby Tucker in Bette Midler-led revival of Hello, Dolly, and the title role in Dear Evan Hansen, as well as Dill Harris in To Kill a Mockingbird opposite Ed Harris. Off-Broadway, he acted in 2 revivals of Bear and Rent at New World Stages. And Ahmad Simmons, if you've been with us before, you know Ahmad. He's a Texas native, he's a dancer, he's an actor, a choreographer, a creative producer based in New York City. He was last seen on Broadway in Ivo Van Hove's groundbreaking revival of West Side Story. Previous shows include the original cast of Hadestown and the most recent revivals of Carousel and Cats. Ahmad co-starred alongside Sam Rockwell and Michelle Williams as Ben Vereen in the Emmy-nominated FX miniseries Fosse Burden. That's just a little bit about them. They're much, much more than that. So let's get to it. Let's have a little chat. So come on into the room, y'all, and let's get a chatting. Hello, hello. How are y'all?
Listen, I'm so happy to be here with Jason, Judy, and Schubert tonight.
I think what would be really great is, I think let everybody know where you are in the world right now. Go first, Mel.
Okay. I am in New York. I have been here the whole time. There's gonna be a lot of arms tonight.
The whole time.
Like I feel like whenever I get nervous or like see myself on screen, I'm like, what am I doing? This is like this is basically what my self-tapes look like. In case anybody's wondering, it's just like a lot of arms. A lot of hands. My agents are thrilled, in case you're wondering.
Taylor, how about you?
I'm in LA right now, dog and house sitting for my boyfriend's parents.
That's sunny weather.
But of course.
Ahmad, how about you?
I'm in Harlem, New York, right now, house sitting my snake plant.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm actually calling in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I am with the brilliant students at Carnegie Mellon University, directing and choreographing hair here. So very, very happy to be being creative here. Before we jump into some conversation, I kind of want to just know how we all know each other. So everyone's watching. Yes, we all know each other. We're all friends, but I kind of want to know how you know each other.
What's the first? I mean,
Ahmad and I met when we were teenagers because we went to a summer camp together.
Florida, yeah. Broadway Theater Project.
One and only.
Yeah.
Shout out to BTP.
I know.
And the Performing Arts Project, which is now like another camp that has evolved out of that one.
I know both Taylor and Jason from Hello, Dolly. And then Ahmad, I feel like we just have so many mutual friends. I know I just knew you. And then we did Chorus Line together.
Yeah.
That was the first thing we did together, maybe.
Yep.
We were working on a project right before the shutdown. Sadly, it'll happen. But yeah, I don't know. That's how I know everyone.
And Jason, I met you at your 21st birthday party, your 22nd birthday party.
I believe so, when we were in college. Yes.
Of course, it was a birdcage. No, you were dressed as a character from the Birdcage, but it was not a Birdcage themed party.
That is also correct. I believe I was Agador Spartacus, for those of you who love the Birdcage. Yes.
And we met in Pittsburgh, me and you, Jason.
So Ahmad and I have, and now lovely, we work consistently together at Foster's, but Ahmad and I we sat next to each other at a summer season at Pittsburgh CLO, where we were in the ensemble, and we would warm up together every single night, and we would have too much fun, too much fun.
What was that season? What were you doing?
Oh, you know, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, a little bit of Les Mis, and the one and only Barry Manilow's Copacabana.
Copacabana. What can't they do? The range, the versatility.
So, art and influence, what we kind of wanted to talk tonight about. We're so interested at Foster's at kind of relooking how we make theater. That's kind of our whole point. So, you know, what we're so interested about, especially you two, is I know that you have such broad ranges of interests outside of theater. And so what has the last year been like for you? What has been your interest? What has inspired you? What hasn't inspired you? I throw the questions to all three of you.
I think the beginning of the first few months felt excruciating, and people kept passing around that meme that was like, Shakespeare wrote King Lear during the plague. What are you doing? And I was like, shut your butt. I'm not doing anything. I'm eating chips. And so for many months, there was like no creativity, not a ton of consumption of like art, not even like TV shows or movies. It was just sort of like sad, sitting alone, eating Oreos. And then I think as things picked up, I started to read again, which was like something I feel like maybe this is just me, but I feel like often I don't have like this mental energy to like do something as simple as reading a book when I'm doing 8 shows a week. And so I've been able to like read a lot, and I think that has been inspiring. This book right next to me, I highly recommend, especially considering the awful murders of 8 people in Atlanta recently. But this book, Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong, is like a gorgeous read of essays. But that, yeah, like I think reading recently, like falling in love with reading again has like, I forget how much that can impact a person.
How about you, Mel?
I was very much the same as Taylor. Like when this first happened, I think I sort of went into like energetic hibernation. I truly I was just keeping myself like so close, and my energy sort of like so close to myself, because I just didn't have the bandwidth. I'm such an outgoing person. I'm usually so like, I love talking to my friends. That's how I'm an extrovert. That's how I get energy. And I sort of just like shut everything down. I needed just to like be in like a space that felt safe, and to be in like with my feet as rooted as they could be. And I think I felt, I mean, with the sort of a major reckoning that our country was having at the time. This was such a minor thing to be going through, and was such a great thing for my perspective. But I basically started working when I was 19 and hadn't stopped working until this happened. And so it was like the brakes were hit for me in a way that I was, you know, every actor goes through it, and every actor feels that. And it was, not only was I not working, but also no one else was. And it was like everything, there was not even an audition. Like it was just complete silence. So it was a beautiful way to sort of figure out who I am without all of that stuff. And like Taylor, again, I did a lot of reading. I love reading, and it comes in waves for me. I feel like, I don't know if that goes for you guys. Like I get into a rhythm with reading, and I'll read like 20 books in a period of like a few months, and then I don't read anything for the rest of the year. And so I've been able to like sort of keep it steady. I did a lot of reading, as I think a lot of our white friends should have done, and hopefully did, and research on how to understand your whiteness and what sort of problems that like to recognize and identify, and to have a reckoning with who you are. So that provided a lot of space and time for that. But I can say something that I did not find inspirational, which I know a lot of my friends did turn to, no shade against that, if that's what you turn to, was like social media. I really found that I was like, I can't do this. I can't see what other people are doing. I don't have the energy to communicate. I don't have the energy to like post anything, and I don't want to show people that I am crying while walking my dog every day. Like, like I don't want to share that with anyone. It's like,
Wish you would.
and it wasn't cute. It just like, and I, not that I like, I feel like it just, social media took a totally different turn for me. I'm like, yeah, I want to amplify other people's voices that are not my own and that need a voice right now. But I don't really feel like the content that people need to be seeing is me just like walking my dog or like watering my plants. Like, I'm like, so that was good to like sort of have a moment of like everything hits the floor.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy for everyone, but yeah.
Ahmad, what was your experience with it? What would you say? Like, where have you found inspiration or not?
Well, I will. First, I'll say I love a walk and cry. So I wish you would have posted that because that series would have been pretty epic. A walk and cry, a shower cry. No, I sort of went in a roller coaster. I'd say first I was kind of relieved because my body needed the break, or needed not to continue to break, like as it was kind of doing towards that time in our show. And so I took it initially as a time to like, oh, this is great. I can get my body back together and just like let things settle. And then in a couple weeks, we'll be back. And then, the couple weeks hit and I started to go into that survivalist kind of panic mode of like, but living and but money and but what does that mean to be in the city, to justify being in the city without the thing that really keeps me in the city, which led me down a deep dark hole of like, what have you built for yourself other than what you're doing? And that was a serious conversation I needed to have with myself that I'm so happy that I was able to have. And then May and June hit and it was like, wow, the world is after me. People that look like me, we are falling apart. So then the summer turned into lots of conversations, lots of galvanizing, talking to my family about things I never talked to my family about. It was a lot of that, spending a lot of time in Texas. I ended up spending like 2 months at home, which was great, and healing in its own right. And then after the summer, came back to New York City to start working on some more creative things. Like that's when I started reading again too. Like I went in that thing where it's like, okay, I can actually read things and enjoy them without having to pick them apart and think like, oh, okay, well, am I going to play this? Or like, how would I, just like enjoying being in the city and the park and what it meant to be here without having to be tied to something every night. So joy came then, I would say. And I've sort of been riding that joy and love of my own path, like creativity and like doing whatever I want. And I'll be sad if that doesn't go away. It won't go away. Like we can't leave this time. Like, we can't leave everything it's brought for us. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that? What do you think, Jason?
I was literally just about to tag on to exactly what you just said, because I feel very similarly from what I'm hearing everybody say is I, for years and years, was living on this like go, go, go life, like, or the grind or whatever that is, right? But then when everything stopped, I realized that my life was the grind. Mm-hmm. And I was asking myself, well, who am I outside of the grind? And I feel like I heard all of you kind of say that in one way or the other. So my question is like, as we're going to be moving hopefully forward into whatever's next, post-COVID, has it taught you anything? What do you want your life to look like after this? And is it different? You know what I mean? Is it different from any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's more full. It's more realized for me. uh, For me, like, no, did I just do that? I did it. No, but like in my experience with this year, it's more full. Like I've been able to fill in the gaps and the cracks in my person and my, you know, my head space to make me like more realized person. I don't know how else to explain it. Like I just didn't know what I was missing in the past 5 years of performing. Like I missed myself. I was like, oh, here you are. This is what you believe. This is how to stand with it and for it. And this is who you love. And this is how you want to connect people and ideas. And like don't be afraid to bring all of that with us, like when everything comes back.
Are
I think
you,
you said that
yeah, go,
well. You said you didn't know that you were saying it, but it was really beautiful.
Purpose.
how is that going to influence, if we're talking about art influence today, how is that going to influence the art you want to create, or the art that you want to be a part of, or the art that you want to participate in, if at all?
Is that to Ahmad?
That's, I think, to everybody, to kind of an open question.
The biggest revelation for me, I wish I had like Ahmad's come to Jesus moment where I like improved my self-flow around it, but I'm still absolutely career obsessed. The biggest thing I've been like so incredibly lucky to like be an actor in New York for the last 10 years, like doing shows pretty consistently. And so then I only viewed myself as like an interpretive artist. Like I could only contribute if I was like doing something that someone else had created. And I think the biggest revelation for me during this time was that I gave myself permission to be creative in other ways. Um, like all of the TV shows and movies that I would like go back to during this time, all of my favorite performances, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Fleabag, and like Michaela Cole and I May Destroy You, and Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle and Pen 15. My favorite performances are all those people who are the center of the story also wrote and created what they're the vehicle. And so I think after like years and years, I was like, well, I don't get to write because I didn't study that and like I didn't work to achieve that. I didn't train for that. And with all this downtime, I was like, I challenged myself to start to write stuff. And so whether it goes anywhere or becomes anything, at least I now am like have taken a step outside of this little box I created for myself to be like, I can build other things. I can express myself in other mediums.
Mm. It's fascinating. I feel so grateful to be here at Carnegie Mellon University working with young artists of like, I don't want to age any of us, but I would consider us all like millennials more, even though you have that center part, Taylor. But it's so interesting. I've never worked with Gen Zers before, like really this intimately. And I'm like, for myself, I felt like coming up as a young artist, I was always like, well, what do you want me to do? Or tell me what to do, right? That was very much part of this, like, tell me, where I'm loving being a part of these young artists that are like, well, here's what I want to say, and how do we do this together? And that is so encouraging to me, that I think it's just going to broaden the range, or like one of our tent poles here at Foster's is that we believe that both audiences and artists benefit from a broad range of backgrounds and perspectives. And I'm hoping that that is what moves us forward, like this Gen Z kind of mentality of I have something to say as well in my art. I find really, really inspiring.
Totally.
Do you think, Jason, because you had mentioned that to me before, about the students, and I keep thinking, is it the way, like for me, I know everything I pulled from living, like from life, or anytime I would go and see a piece of art or anything, it was all to fuel a thing that I was doing, rather than just living to live and to like experience things for myself.
Enjoy things, yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. I wonder if it's a matter of that generation. They just live, I don't know.
Right.
I feel like it's a very American perspective. Like, let's be honest. In London, they have the National Theatre, which is funded just to create. Like Taylor, you Curious Incident came from the National Theatre, right? Like that is funded just to be like, go create.
Yeah.
You don't have to come up with anything, just create. And everything that's coming out of the National is remarkable. They're not trying, and I don't know, I said I think that's very American, but maybe that's changing with all of that, personally, like I feel that's what this last year has done for me, is said, what else just brings you joy? And in bringing me joy, it's going to influence what I'm doing, obviously, so I kind of, I guess another question I have is like, in what ways has that been tangible? Like, sorry, I might have froze for a second. In what ways, like, has that started to creep into your art, if it has at all? Like Mel, you just did. Can you talk a little bit about what you just did, and maybe how that was different now than it was before?
It was very different. Yeah, I worked with one of my very dear friends and collaborators and just favorite all around people, Al Blackstone, to make a show for 64 total people, 4 shows of 16 people at the old Yoga to the People studio, a venue called Arts on Site. And basically these 2 amazing women have sort of like taken over the studios and are trying to save it because you can't have classes there. So they're allowing people to come in and create a show for a limited audience. They keep all the windows open when you perform. Everybody's masked, including the performers. And the shows are like 45 minutes. And I went to see one that Al had put on over sort of like the Halloween holiday time. And he called me in January and asked me if I wanted to do, after the cases spiked, he said, I don't feel comfortable doing one with like 4 to 5 people. I think I want to do a 1-woman show for you. And I was like, because it had been a year of not doing anything. So he was like, how do you feel about that? And I was like, I feel not good about it. I feel scared. But also I think it changed. I've been moving at this point in my career away from dance. So to not have danced for a year, because I sort of said earlier that I really was holding my energy close to my body. Movement was not something that was fulfilling for me, like a yoga class every now and then, but I really was just trying to like be present in this body, in this space where I was. And it was requiring too much of me to do a lot of movement. So I felt really scared to do a dance show for 45 minutes. That was like basically just me. But I said yes because like, what do I have to lose? It's not like it's like, it's like for 64 people at a yoga studio. So it's like, if there's a safer time to do it, like it's probably no other time than now. And it was beautiful. I mean, it was just like we got to be in a studio and we got to make something that felt like something that we wanted to say, and it was about artists and loss. And I got to dance in a way that I probably haven't done since I was like 19 years old, which is like 10 years ago now for me. So like getting this body to move was like very different and like a very different feeling. But also then like the 64 people who came were so moved by the fact that like either they were friends of mine or Al's or Billy's, who was the associate on the show, and they were just so excited to be there, or they were people who were newly vaccinated and they said like, this is the first time I've been anywhere in a year and I'm so excited to be here, and just like weeping like behind their mask. And I like, the lights go down and we're using like flashlights as like spotlights because Al has like just the greatest sense of humor, so he creates this sort of like atmosphere. And like for a whole number, like we just sat in blackness in a yoga studio while like Toby Wayne, who's amazing, and I met doing this process, was just like twirling flashlights, like and like the whole like the 16 people who were sitting in the yoga studio were like going nuts, and it was just like a beautiful experience. And you know, I can't say I wouldn't have been able to do this had like life gone on, because I would have been gone and working, but to be able to sort of return to dance in that way, in a way that felt so safe, and also in a way that felt like free, like he was creating a show that was just for me, felt like really one of the first times that I feel like I've sort of reclaimed dance for myself. Because I think that when you're, especially in this industry, you get pigeonholed to one thing. And, you know, I have worked so hard to be not just that thing. And so then you get like a little bit, unfortunately, or I have felt like resentful of that thing that was like the thing that is the first spark for me with performing. And so to be able to come back to it in this way that felt so full and so joyous and so just like, we're doing what we have. Like I was riding around on like a fake horse, like, you know, like with like a cowboy hat. Like it was just like silly and beautiful and like everything that it needed to be. So I think that is a way that I know you were talking about sort of like reclaiming joy and making spaces for things that feel joyous. It feels like that is something that the pandemic has given me a little bit of, is just like, I have really, again, I've leaned away from like making like videos for social media and like making those things, because I've really felt like keeping my like art and keeping the things for myself, and really trying to understand what that's like to not be validated by the community or the social networks. I don't know. And then to be in a room full of 16 people just doing this thing that I love and feeling so free was like, oh, this is why I started this. Like, this is why we're doing this. And that was something that I didn't know that I could still experience with dance. So it was like a very beautiful, very hilarious and terrifying, and also like amazing thing. Like my boyfriend was truly like, I used to take yoga here for free when I was at NYU. Like I haven't been in the studio since then, and I'm putting on like a full 45-minute like one woman show in the studio. So you always have to keep like a really nice sense of humor about it, I think. But to take some of the seriousness out of it was exactly what I needed, because I think when this is our job, we're like Taylor, you said, like, I'm career obsessed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I gotta do it. I have these big dreams. And then when you just are sort of like, I'm in a yoga studio, like, it's not that deep. We're creating art. It's beautiful.
I guess I'm just shocked that when you said one woman show, he didn't approach me first. I mean, I'm happy for you that you got that opportunity, of course, but
you're in California, so it's.
Oh, you're right. That's it.
Yeah, you're not available. You were unavailable. Okay, I heard I was the second choice, but
that makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
What's so interesting though, too, I think, is in Mel, what I heard you say a little bit of too, how powerful like that space can be. Like that's what I've realized of like being in rehearsal again. We're very safe here at Carnegie Mellon. We rehearse 10 feet apart. We all wear masks. We all getting tested once a week. We're abiding by a lot of rules. But you realize that space that maybe I took for granted as a job, right? Or just putting on something actually harnesses a lot of power. Yeah. Like that's what I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much power. And I think with that comes responsibility. All that I had no idea existed before. You know, it's like showed up with my computer ready to work in a room directing or choreographing or whatever that was. I've really learned that has an immense amount of power, which has been really cool, which I'm excited to like now look at in a new way. I already am, you know what I mean? And actually it's the students here that are forcing me to do that in a good way, but in the next project and the next project and the next project as well.
I will also say I, especially with, again, we've talked a little bit sort of about the reckoning that America had this summer, and hearing from my BIPOC colleagues about the way that they felt in rehearsal rooms. I feel, and doing that rehearsal process just now and feeling so free, it was not lost on me that like my colleagues haven't always and haven't maybe ever felt that comfortable in a room. And so I can't wait to get into a rehearsal process and make sure that everybody feels as comfortable and as free as like we should be able to feel in those spaces. And I feel like that is something that I have so much hope moving forward for, is to make sure everybody feel sorry, I just choked on my own spit. Bye. Is to make sure everybody feels like really like is make sure everybody feels comfortable.
You better take this really heavy moment.
I know, sorry. Sorry guys. I just felt like it wasn't lost on me hearing people's experiences in rehearsal rooms that I sort of just wasn't aware of. And I don't know whether that was just not opening my eyes and seeing that, or just not actually understanding. And then going through this, so excited to make room. I think that theater is such a great place that we can start with that, because we have so many people who want to make a change. And I just feel like you saying that, like taking those spaces for granted, like took those spaces for granted in more ways than just the fact that we feel free.
Yeah, it's the reason, honestly, Mel, that I love what Jason is doing with Foster's. Like, it's because it's about the biggest thing you talked about to me in terms of the space is trust. Like everybody trusting each other, and that doesn't really come as fast as we want it to in our business. It's like, you've known Al for a very long time. You and Billy have worked together for a very long time. So there's already that base level of understanding and, you know, things that don't have to do with the art that you've done together that make you feel free to get that spark and that, you know, ignition again to dance again. And I love that about Foster's. It's like that's what we're trying to do with everything. Is to bring everyone in and just say that you're safe, but also build a relationship within everybody in the residencies, in our programming, that really back it up. You know, and it's not just like your talent is safe in this room. And I think that's what we're reckoning with, right? We always knew that the talent was safe in a way, but you're safe. All of your joy, all of your trauma, all of the things that make you you, that bring you to the talent, are also safe and have space to be heard. But yeah, I'm happy you're dancing.
Yeah. It seems like it's like the common thread between doing something experimental, like what you did, Melanie, or like an artist residency or government subsidized theater or educational theater like hair. The like common link is that there's not like an enormous economic risk. Like,
yeah.
So Broadway theater is like sometimes like millions of dollars are invested and tickets are hundreds of dollars, sometimes more. And I think that can get in the way sometimes of being able to like feel that trust and that freedom and that power.
Yeah.
And so when we have these amazing opportunities that Foster's and other places create, that's when we're like allowed to truly like let go and be free. And I think that's where oftentimes the best art is made.
Absolutely.
When there's not of capitalism.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. And I'm going to tie in something. Our first Foster's Forum was Rachel Chapkin. And like, I think really shed a light on, is that the way that all commercial theater is made? Absolutely not. But is it possible for commercial theater to be made that way? I think so.
Yeah.
And, you know, how do we lend voices to that? You know,
we have to insist and not forget the power that we all hold as the artists, you know, like there's no, and one thing she said was like calling people the creative team and the talent. Like it's the small things like that. Well, aren't we all the creative team? Right.
Like we'd all be laborers together at the same level.
Right. And it's like I think this time it sort of brought us down to that, where like the the work that Taylor's writing that we may not see is just as valuable as what was just on Broadway. Like we have to bring our heads back to that space, you know, and just insist that we don't go back into a room or to a structure that is old. You know, we don't have to, you know.
And I think that I think the personal onus comes from not only creating a space for yourself, but to tie what Ahmad, I always do this, like, you're not the same things that I am. I know. So it's like, but tying Mel and Ahmad, that we have a personal responsibility to create a safe space for others as well. Like that, I think that is the first step in moving forward in that, is saying that I'm going to show up also to be your voice, also to, you know what I mean, or to amplify your voice. Like I think that that's super important within the creative process, because it is an extremely intimate happening, right? I think so. I think that the creative process, you were saying trust, vulnerability, these are really intimate things. And to do that, I think you have to say, I'm advocating for you as much as I'm advocating for myself, which I find fascinating. I think that's the way forward. Kind of want to know, we've gotten some heavy stuff, which I'm here for, but like, what are you hoping to do next? Like you were like, you know, someone said you could do anything. Like, what would that be? I just tied in a question too from Sheila. There you go.
Oh, Sheila. Thanks, Shields.
Sheila.
Love you, Shields. Love you, Sheila. I think I'm like, have always been most excited by the National Theatre in London, by like government subsidized theater where people can, like Curious Incident, like you said, like they paid them to go into a room and they like, all they brought in was like a couple of actors and some like boxes, and they like spent a week making something, and they were like, this probably won't work because it's a book about a boy on the autism spectrum solving the murder of a dead dog, and then in the meantime he finds out that like his mother is, it was like this, it was like, it just seemed like it was impossible to adapt into something like a theater experience. But giving people an organization like that gives people the freedom to at least try is like something I would love to be a part of, and something that I hope can be here in America soon. I think Lincoln Center sometimes comes close, but I hope that we can establish something similar to that, to like bring about new, exciting, dynamic voices.
Yeah.
What about you, Ahmad?
Marvel movie.
What about you? Yeah,
And
Marvel.
also, sorry, I want to replace Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. So one of the two.
So,
It's all about balance. You got to make that money too. It's all about balance.
I mean, what I'm excited about right now, this may change literally at 8, no, but is getting into the college conservatory structures and blowing that up. Like we're teaching old, if I hear one more person I'm mentoring talk about, so like, should I be a dancer who sings or a singer who dances? Or, you know, is this the way to approach this casting director? Or what's the type of, like, I'm done. Like, I'm done hearing, I'm done hearing these young professionals who've spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get training to go into these old programs that are putting them out into an industry that they don't know anything about because they haven't been connected with what's actually happening, and they don't realize they are what's next. So like my big rampage right now is just like going into, I just want every one of those conservatories to spend like 10 minutes here talking to artists like Taylor and Melanie, like to know what actually is happening and how valuable they are and what they want to do is. And yeah. Sorry.
Or employing, they should have like, there should be a lot more spots, faculty spots for people who are working actors who can better reflect what these students are going to enter into.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Mel?
I was hoping you were going to skip me.
You don't need to answer.
They both answered, so I really thought I was going to get out of that one.
You just stop your video and mute.
Yeah, I was like,
I've literally done that before on Zoom. I've been like, oh, my computer died, and I just shut it.
Like,
So rude.
It's so rude. It's so rude. Sorry if you're watching and I did that to you.
Yeah, someone's like, what the hell? Yeah.
My bad.
Sheila
Sometimes I'm rude
just got
too.
really mad.
I know.
Sorry, Sheila.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm excited about. I feel right now at this moment in my life, I feel excited to like go outside and like sit with my friends and like have a gin and tonic. Like that is what I feel excited about. Like, and I know that I obviously feel excited about going to see theater again. I feel very excited about that. But I truly feel like I just can't wait to be in a space that feels like, oh, I get to exchange energy with these people again freely. And I'm excited about that right now.
I think that's very powerful though, Mel, because extremely powerful. I'll be very honest with you. Like Foster's was an idea I had that I thought was 10 years down the road. And then I just started talking with some friends. It literally was what you just said. Like, I think that like making space for conversation in the same thing that Taylor said, like that's where creation comes from. Like no point, like I'm not trying to create anything. I'm not trying to do anything, but making space, just making space, truly just making space. You don't know what's going to come from that. And for me, pre-pandemic, I didn't make space for anything. I made space for my career, and that was it, you know? So I couldn't think that, you know, now I was like, oh, everything that can come from this making space. There's a light right here that looks like.
I know.
It's really beautiful.
Beautiful metaphor, sort of the new horizon, the new era of theater coming in. You set that up. You spent hours like fixing a light.
Right.
That's at this moment.
My assistant director's outside the window.
They're holding it. Yeah.
The students of Carnegie Mellon's arms are trembling outside.
No, but I think that that's powerful and has a lot of purpose in doing all of that too. Let me look through one more time through the Q&A. Oh, okay. Here we go. How do you as an artist get over roadblocks such as lack of motivation? In the past year, I have found it very difficult to begin a project and complete it.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's something as simple as like letting yourself leave it. Like I think sometimes it's still like constant, like it going in the back of your mind. I need to get back to that. I need to finish it. I think like truly like putting it away, being like, I'm stepping away from this right now. I'm going for a walk. I'm like not going to worry about that. Making sure that you're like, just doing other things, not thinking about it constantly, I think can sometimes allow you to go back to it.
I also feel like,
just kidding. Sorry.
I also feel like when I felt, because like I have said over and over again, I felt completely uninspired for a lot of this pandemic, or just like close to myself. I feel like just there are small things that if you can really try and just listen to your body and listen to yourself, like if the thing that brings you joy that day is just going to sit by the water and like reading a book, that's okay. Like it doesn't, I think as an artist, especially like we've talked about in like a capitalist machine, you're like, and like when you're trying to pay your bills and when you're trying to create something, there's this pressure to like be like, well, I gotta do it, you know, I gotta do something with this time. And I think I have, or at least for me personally, I found it the most freeing to say like, I am going to walk around the city for like 3 hours with my dog and an oat latte. And that is going to be my joy today. Like, and that's that. And maybe it takes 2 weeks, but at the end of those 2 weeks, sometimes I feel inspired to do something, whether it's like to read a new play or to, even if it's calling a friend or reaching out to my agents and saying what's going on or like something. I think that is something that I've learned in the last year, is just to allow yourself the space to like find those joys, and that they will lead you to the art or some sort of art, whether it's like making a play or making new art, like Taylor, you said, like going and revisiting those things, those shows that you love and those characters. And that sort of led you to be like, maybe this could spark something for me.
And Warren Carlisle said this in our 2 Fosters forums ago. He said, you don't have to create something epic right now. Just create. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we get bogged down being like, oh, I got to create like the best piece of theater in the history of theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and no, it's like, actually, I'm just going to put pen to paper for 4 minutes. That's it. 4 minutes, and whatever comes out in those 4 minutes, and then I'll look at it again tomorrow. But like it's done in chunks. At least I relate to that. I can't create something epic in one sitting. You know, it's like chipping away at it, you know. So
not
just
unless
like
I'm making dinner. I can make an epic dinner in one sitting.
What do you do?
What do I cook? Oh my God, it's gonna be too long. We only have 5 minutes left on the Zoom call. But I make excellent pasta. I really have gotten good at gluten-free vegetarian stuffing this year. Yes, I've really been baking. Not the
My address is no.
I think similarly
I
to
have it. Well, I'll come over.
I think similarly to the not putting pressure on yourself to create something epic, I think also something that can help you move forward is making sure you're always doing something that you like not trying to create something for the expectations of other people. Write what you like, write what you want to see, or not write, whatever. Create what you like, what you want to see. Make it for you. Make it like for you, the audience of one, because I'm sure that there's going to be someone else out there who there's like some overlap and they also like what you're creating.
Amen. I'm here for that. I think those are some wise words, some wise toes for to end our little session. A huge thank you to Mel and Taylor and Ahmad as well. Thank you, everybody. Again, if you enjoyed tonight, please make sure that donation goes a really long way. I'm putting in the chat right now. That is our Venmo at Foster's Residency, or literally takes 2 seconds. $2, $3, literally huge impact. Or go to our website, www.fostersresidency.org. Make sure to bookmark that too, because we're always updating with new Foster's Forum guests, and up to date with all of our latest residencies and how to stay in contact with us. So, Mel, Taylor, thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
How do we keep up with you?
Oh yeah.
Should
Two of us?
Yes.
Oh,
everybody out there, so like, don't give your phone number.
So I was like, my address is, I am on mostly Instagram at Melanie K. Moore. If you want to follow, if you don't, not that. It's a lot of me and my dog.
She's a great dog.
Great dog.
What about you, Taylor?
I'm also on Instagram at Knuckle Sandwich, because I was like, I'm gonna have a cool Instagram, and now 13 years later, I'm like, it probably should have just been my name.
I love the Knuckle Sandwich.
Anytime someone takes a picture like this, I get tagged in it.
Oh.
I don't want those anymore.
Everybody hear that? We're done with those pics. Okay.
Yeah. Don't tag me challenge starting now.
Thank y'all.
Photo from here on out. It's me.
Thank you. We had 76 people join us on Facebook Live tonight, so thank you for coming over on Facebook Live as well. Make sure to join and register and join us next time here to be able to ask some questions. Everyone have a beautiful night, and we will see you next month. Thank you.
Bye.
Fosters forever.